So let's apply what we have learned so far on a small example. We have a single unit evaporator. It's fed with 1.4 kilogram per second of water containing 1% solids. The feed temperature is 38 degrees centigrade and the outgoing solution has 1.5% solids. The evaporation is done at atmospheric pressure and the fresh steam has a condensation temperature of 110 degrees centigrade and the apparent overall heat transfer coefficient has been estimated to 1.2 kilowatts per square meter in Kelvin. Calculate the evaporator capacity expressed in V, the vapor going out, kilogram per second, the steam consumption S, the steam economy, which is V divided by S, the required heat exchanger area, A, and the heat flux density, Q divided by A. So we make a mass balance. F must be L plus V, and F times XF equals L times XL, which means that we have 1.4 coming in. That must be the same as L plus V. And if we instead take the second mass balance, then we get 1.4 times 0.01 equals L times 0.015, which means that we get L. And once we get L as 0.93 kilogram per second, then we know that 1.4 minus that is V, so V is 0.47 kilogram per second. So that's our answer to the first question. Secondly, we need to make an energy balance, which looks like this. And please note then when you look up enthalpies for steam and so on, never mix tables, because the definition of enthalpy equals 0 might actually vary. There are a few standards, but if you're unlucky, the different tables use slightly different definitions. I mean, enthalpy is not, it's a relative measurement, right? So in our table, steam at 110 degrees centigrade has an enthalpy of 2691 kilojoule per kilogram, and the condensate has 461.42 kilojoule per kilogram. For the vapor leaving, we know that that has an enthalpy at the boiling point plus the energy needed to overheat. So we get this equation here. Enthalpy of the vapor is enthalpy at the boiling point plus Cp for water as gas times the temperature T minus the boiling point. So this is the same as HBP plus Cp gas times beta. So note that this is the equation to use, but in our case we can do something simpler, because in our case we don't have much of a boiling point elevation because we have so small concentrations. So we can take, in our case, the enthalpy of the vapor directly from a steam table. But note that this is a simplification. If you have boiling point elevation, you can't do this. So we get it as 2675.57 kilojoule per kilogram. The enthalpy for the liquid, we could take a Cp for the liquid times the temperature. And we use now the definition that enthalpy is 0 when you have liquid water at 0 degrees, for example, and water as liquid, not as gas. In our case, however, the boiling point elevation is essentially 0, and it's almost nothing in there, like 1.5%, that's not much. So we essentially have the same enthalpy as for pure water, and if we simplify that, we say that, you should, to do this carefully, you should use the integral of Cp dt, but the integral mean value is approximately 4.19 anyway in this temperature range. So 100 degrees, well, we get 419.17 kilojoule per kilogram. What about the F? That's 38 degrees centigrade liquid, And this, I mean, it's 1% solids, so it's almost pure water. So the heat capacity is approximately the same as for pure water. So again, 4.19 times the temperature for the feed, which is 38, and we get 159 kilojoule per kilogram. So now we have everything we need to calculate the steam. I mean, if you look at this equation up here, VHV plus LHL minus FHF, if we divide that with HS minus HK, we get S. So we do that here. The V flux is 0.47, the L flow is 0.93, the F flow is 1.4, and we multiply that with the respective enthalpy, and we divide that with the difference in enthalpy between the steam and the condensate. And we get the result 0.64 kilogram per second, which is our answer to the next question. We go on to the next question. The steam on economy, that's simple now. We just take V divided by S, and we get 0.73 kilogram evaporated per kilogram of fresh steam. For the area, we need to make this heat transfer equation. And we know that we have to transfer 1,427 kilowatts, because we can calculate that with S times HS minus HK. So then we can calculate the area needed, because that's Q divided by the K and the temperature difference. And now we don't have any boiling point elevation, so we know that T is 100 approximately. So we get 119 square meters. Finally, the heat flux density. Now we have everything, so we just can calculate it as Q divided by A and get 12 kilowatt per square meter. Please note that in this example we used some severe simplifications. We had negligible boiling point elevation, so we took the enthalpy of the vapor directly from a table for water as gas, and we took the enthalpy for the liquid coming out as if it was pure water, and that we could do because the concentration was so low. This you normally can't do. So normally you need to do something more careful. You need to take the enthalpy of the vapor as either from this equation here, that you have the enthalpy at the boiling point plus the heat capacity for the gas, so water vapor, times the temperature difference, and that temperature difference is the boiling point elevation. Or you can interpolate it from a table for overheated steam. For the liquid going out, you should have the CP for the liquid times the temperature. Ideally, of course, you should have the integral CP dt, but we can't do so careful calculations anyway, so we will assume that we have integrated mean values of heat capacity anyway. And please note, the CP for the liquid L is typically not the same as the P for the liquid F, because they have different concentrations, and there is nothing that say that they need to have the same heat capacity. The heat capacity for the liquid L might be larger or smaller due to different temperature and concentration.